Back everyone to another from around Mijas live stream. Mario, welcome back.
Hello, Bill. Thank you.
You've been caught down with the lurgy last week, yeah, the cold and uh,
Yes, and I have still part of those viruses somewhere inside me. But yes, I can manage.
so you've survived the cold, Mario, but have you survived the council meeting?
Well, there was a little bit of a spectacle from this lady, this famous lady from soap TV programs that may
Yeah,
be looking for an opportunity to come back. And in general, the monthly meeting was the same as usual. Several bunches of invoices for last year and the year before, and some even for the year before, which the town hall wanted to pay. And we more or less accept that we have to pay that, but we don't vote for, because that means to approve, to ratify their attitude. And we cannot consent, we cannot accept that they spend our money without having a contract put up for tender, because that
yes,
is what the
yeah,
law
sure.
says. And I will give you a sample. In 2015, we spent 1,200 euros putting mailboxes in a countryside for people to be able to receive their post. They
Yes,
have been holding that invoice for 7 years, and they paid it last month.
right,
Why? If they don't want to pay, do not pay that. If you want to pay, why didn't you pay that in 2015, 16, 17, 18? Why have they been holding that bill for so many years and now deciding to pay it? We believe that bill should be paid straight away because we have money for that. But most important, before receiving the bill, the contract should be signed and the process should be followed. That is what the law says. It is simple
right.
and easy. And this is what we have been defending from the beginning. And this is what we did when we had the opportunity to rule the government. And this is what we will do again if we have the opportunity again.
Sure. So, paying your bills at the council meeting is just become a normal thing, hasn't it? It happens. Well, it's happened, I think, every single month in the time that I've been a councillor.
That's
And
right. And that should be extraordinary because that is an extraordinary process. All bills
sure,
should be paid without bringing them to the plenum. Bringing them there is for them to be named and shamed. And
right,
they, instead of that, they feel proud of doing the works, doing the spending illegally. And that is what the Cámara de Cuentas, the general auditor of Andalusia, reported a few months ago that they have spent verbally without contract 21 million euros. And they don't care and they don't even apologize. They don't even promise not to do it again. They simply
right.
don't care. And we are not happy with that.
Okay, so that's that. Now, Mario, there are some more. What shall I say? Building and roadworks on the cards, aren't there?
Well, someone in the town hall has realized that there will be elections in May, and whatever they didn't do before, they are rushing to do it right now in order to be able to have their picture taken before the elections. And there are a lot of
Right.
streets under reconstruction. And it is true that all that work is convenient. We may believe that some streets deserve more attention than others. The problem is that when you do everything at the same time, you create a mess in the traffic. And
Yeah.
we are more and more people, more and more cars in Mijas, and we have less and less roads. So it is becoming difficult. If you are driving, we can only ask people for patience. And we can only remind that more than 2 years ago, we agreed in the town hall to start a file in order to divert all the heavy traffic through the highway.
Right.
Everybody in the council voted yes. There were 25 votes forward, but they have done nothing. So the heavy traffic is still going through La Cala, into Fuengirola, Las Lagunas, and we all have to suffer that while we have a highway almost empty. and we are wasting the opportunity to have all that traffic diverted through the highway. But that's the
Right.
government we have, and we cannot do anything else than complaining unless we have the opportunity from May in which all these things should be carried forward.
Okay. A lot of people are concerned about the amount of building work, the amount of road works that we've been having. And we've been suffering in La Cala for several months now. We were told it'd be finished by the end of February. It's not going to be the end of February. But I think people are fed up with it, Mario.
Yes, well, possibly it will be the end of February, but you may have missed the year. Nobody said it
Yes,
could be 2023. It will be at the end of
sure.
February. All these construction that are taking place now in La Cala and the surroundings, in fact, comes from the master plan that was approved in 1999. If you read the introduction, which is like a nightmare, it says that Mijas should have 450,000 people. And what they didn't mention is that all those will have to drive through La Cala every day
Right.
to go to the
Yes.
shop, to the works, or to travel. That's a pity. But yes, all that is product of that master plan that was approved in 1999 without considering that if you make houses for 450,000 people, you need also schools and
Sure.
mainly roads and parking spaces. And we are having the houses, we are having the people, but we are not having the roads. There will be one development that was finally approved in December, which will be in the road that goes up to the race course from La Cala. When you go through Los Claveles, and at the
Yes.
right you have Alcántara and Walter Bayer Street. From that very moment until the top of that hill, where there is also another roundabout of Monte Blanco, that street will be closed for possibly more than 1 year because it is going to be extended or enlarged, and there will be
Right.
some traffic lights, some pedestrians area, because they are going to build at both sides of that road.
Right.
That is going to happen immediately because all the signs have already been erected, I think, a couple of days ago. This was passed by the town hall at the end of December. And this is another construction that no matter how nice the houses will be, and no matter how welcome the new owners will be in the population of Mijas, it is going to create a big traffic jam in the area. And we don't know whenever those houses are already built,
Mhm.
how will they come up and down from that area because
Right.
there are houses all along all those roads, and the roads cannot be extended without demolishing the houses.
Yeah.
So more people will have to go through the same winding roads, and this is going to be a problem.
But Mario, I've been coming to Mijas. I bought an apartment in Mijas, I think about 1995. Um, and I moved here in 2002. So I've known that this area of Mijas at the very least since the mid 1990s. How can we possibly reasonably be working to a plan that was published in 1999 when the Mijas in 2023 bears no resemblance whatsoever to 1999? It seems stupid to me.
Well, that was the plan that the town hall approved. That was the key moment in the development of Mijas. And whoever was in the government decided that growth was the target.
Right,
And it is like a child that grows up too fast. All the bones hard and the body is not very much coordinated.
right,
It will need a lot of years and perhaps a lot of work in the gym to make that body work again properly.
right,
It has needs a lot of connections, a lot of roads, and a lot of either more parking spaces or more public transport
right.
because people need to move either with their own cars or with a public bus.
Yeah.
And the problem is that if all the houses are not concentrated, they are disseminated, you at the end you need your private car, and then you also need a parking when you move it. Mijas is affording a big problem of transport, and we should be talking about these things in the monthly meetings instead of discussing once and again why they didn't pay the bill or what has happened.
Right. I can still hear you okay, Mary. Oh, you're back.
Yes.
Yeah, I could hear you fine, but your face had disappeared. Yeah, so I mean, is there any way, Mario, of rewriting what was agreed in 1999?
It is not easy because when you have the right to build, imagine 50 houses in a plot, that right has a value. And if the town hall wants you to build only 49 houses instead of the 50 that you had right to, the town hall will have to compensate you.
Right,
This is something that the town hall has done in the past and will keep doing in the future, but with a solid argument. For example, imagine the town hall needs to make a road and it goes through the middle of a plot. The town hall is entitled, once justified the public utility of that decision, to split your plot in two and make a road in the middle.
right,
But to reduce your rights, it is not easy because you have to justify that that growth is not beneficial for the public. And the owner of that plot will say, why are you reducing my rights and not the rights of my neighbor?
right.
Because my houses are as good or as bad as any others.
But Mario, if these things were decided in 1999, surely someone had the common sense to understand that with all this permissions to build, there also had to be an equal improvement in the infrastructure to support it all. Or basically, is this PGOU, this document, this planning document, just a piece of rubbish?
Well, there were a lot of technicians, which in theory know much more than you and me, that said that all this was sustainable, which is the key word used nowadays.
Right, yeah.
Uh, I believe they were not very accurate in their decisions because it is obvious that this growth in certain areas of Mijas is not sustainable. Las Lagunas is an area which is only communicable through the M340, the same as La Cala. And La Cala has the problem that it is in the middle of the M340, so all the traffic between Fuengirola and Marbella, not only the one from Mijas, also goes through that point.
Yes.
If on top of that, on Saturdays and Tuesdays, you make a market there, then, and also cars that go into the petrol station are forced to go through La Cala instead of being able to go back to the M340, then you have all the ingredients to make La Cala a very attractive place, but also very difficult to drive through.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
that is what we are suffering, and we are facing a summer which hopefully will be a success regarding tourism, but will be a disaster regarding cars.
Right. You know, I came across this phrase when I worked in strategic planning in the United Kingdom, and it's called joined up thinking, not joined up writing, joined up thinking. And
Mm.
it seems to me that there's been a severe lack of joined up thinking in the whole planning for Mijas in the last 30 years.
Well, it is usually said that politicians only look 4 years ahead for the next elections. But let me tell you something. There was something interesting. A previous mayor in 2016, he said that his main target in his 4 years to be would be to create an advisory body,
Right.
Consejo Económico y Social. It was going to be a group of wise people who would be thinking on these kind of things, saying
Ah,
if you are building 100 apartments, you are going to have 200 people, so you may have 22 children, 3 adults needing a residence in 20 years, and also there could be a fire every year. So you need
Right.
this kind of services. That body was created. It deserved several covers in the local newspaper, but has never met, has never
Right.
been known, has done nothing. So if the politicians are thinking only in their 4 years term, there should be a body, if not above, at least at the side of them, giving their independent opinions regarding the future of Mijas. This is
Sure.
a debate that we haven't had. Do we really want to keep growing 10% population more every year
No.
without any limit, without any condition? Is growth a desirable target per se? I don't
Yeah.
think so. We all want to grow, but within an order, not in a disorder.
Absolutely. You know, Mario, myself included, I moved to Mijas and in the region of La Cala because it had a certain charm. And in the last few weeks, I've been talking to people, and they've said quite independently the same thing. And they were talking about La Cala. La Cala is losing its charm.
Yes, it is becoming more like Ibiza, which is a place where you get fun, which is interesting, which is an attraction for tourism. But we are forgetting about people who wants to live with us all the year.
Sure.
It looks like we are focusing our attractions to tourism, which is fine, but we cannot forget about those who are here all the year, those
Yeah.
who need to go to work, who need to go shopping, who needs to take children to school several times a day, who need to move, who need to live. And this is not only a tourist attraction, this has to be a city, and the city should be designed for the people who live in, not for those who come for fun only. They are
Yeah.
very
Sure.
welcome, but we have to coordinate that. And
Mm.
it looks like we are forgetting people who live here all the year, and we are paying our attention only to those who come for fun. And as I
Yeah.
said, which is fine, but they are not alone. We have to be conscious that there is people living here. It is like living in a hotel.
Yeah.
Mijas cannot be a hotel. Mijas is a village with tourism, but also with residents.
Mhm.
And if the tourists are more than residents, then we cannot call this a city anymore. And that is not what we desire. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah. And there is also a plan for a new Golf Valley in Mijas, isn't there?
Yes, this is something that was called opportunity zone during many years, which is for people who know Mijas a little bit when you are in Entre Rios, between rivers, and then you drive to La Cala. On the right side, you may see a small, it is like a bull ring. All
Yes.
that area, about 1 million square meters, is going to be developed. There will be
Yeah.
some hundred of houses. It is true that it will be a low density. It has been considered of tourist interest and has been approved directly by the regional government of the Junta Andalucía. So apparently this is a model of growth, as I said,
Yeah.
of low density. It will have not only one more golf course, it will also pay a lot of attention to horses
Right.
and also some properties in the area. So even though the plans have not been exposed yet, whatever they have said, whatever has been accepted, looks very nice. That
Yes.
is possibly the kind of growth that Mijas would like most of the rest. It is true that if you don't want growth at all, then you will always dislike this
Yeah.
kind of project. But if you believe that Mijas could grow a little bit every year, this is the best sample of how Mijas should grow. And we
Yeah.
will see it very soon because it was approved only initially yesterday, but it will go fast now because everything is now agreed. All the
Right.
area is very clear. They have all the accesses. So it is simply a matter of starting
Yeah.
moving the earth and starting to build the golf course and making all that area nice.
Yeah, well, you know where I live, Mario, but when I moved here 20 years ago, I was 2 kilometers away from any other, housing. Now I'm only 1 kilometer away from the sort of build up from La Cala, and I'm getting surrounded by houses. And they're all managing to build at La Betania, Lagar, and then this other one, and I'm sitting here, and I'm still gonna be living in an illegal house because
You
it's a
will
country house.
you will never live alone, as they
No.
say in Liverpool.
We've got a message from Leslie Harris, who's been in La Cala for 40 years, but she reckons that they are spoiling it now and that the infrastructure can't take it. And I have to say, Mario, that these are the kind of comments that people are saying on the street. But of course, what I would have to say is this: when our current government are making decisions, they never ask the foreigners what they think anyway.
But not only the foreigners, I can tell you that many Spaniards believe exactly the same. It is
Right.
not a matter of nationality, it is a matter of a style of life.
Yeah.
And that style of life that made Mijas in general and La Cala so attractive is disappearing. Is it for worse? I believe it is not for better.
Right.
This change. Are we still in time to amend it? We are always in time to act, always. But obviously, the sooner the better. If we
Right.
keep losing all those attractions, people will start looking somewhere else. Unfortunately or unfortunately, the world is very big and there is a lot of room for people to live in peace,
Sure. Sure.
like we live in Mijas.
Okay, Mario, just two other things. I've written them down here, but I'm going to do them in reverse order. Um, we have spoken about this proposed mega park that the budget seems to be going up and up and up and up. Uh, the last one I saw on paper was 38 million, and I've heard 50 million, but I'm not sure what the figures are. But we're talking about a lot of money. There was a plea made that any moving forward of this project be stopped until after the elections. Has there been any movement on that?
No, the government has paid no attention to that. And it is not simply a matter of like or dislike. It is that on top of those 30 something millions, you need to make the bridge because this
Right.
area is in the other side of the river.
Yes.
And you are expected to reach that park without having to swim. So a standard person could say, well, let's make the bridge first and later we will do the park. No, they are doing it the opposite. And also, and more important, imagine that the park is done and the 30 or 40 million euros are spent. How are we going to maintain it?
Right.
Do you have an idea of how many millions of euros you need to maintain such a big park? I have seen the figures of Parque La Paloma in Torremolinos or in Benalmádena.
Benalmádena,
So
yeah.
I know the amount of water that they need, the amount of care, and the amount of people watching that park. Or we want to have that area and do not have any kind of control of any activity there in that area. So we expose 7 reasons not to approve the park as it is, because
Right.
everybody would like a park. And if it is free, I would like to have two, one at each side. But
Sure.
things are not free, and things always have a cost, not only in money. There is a cost of opportunity. If you do a park, you cannot do other things.
Of
And
course.
these other things concern me and concern a lot of people. There
Yeah.
are a lot of priorities, and I believe that if we want to do a park in Mijas, that should be discussed at least in the monthly meeting where the 25 councillors represent the majority. What does the government say? Well, that they have asked children in schools for the park. That's fine. Asking children is always positive. but I would have asked adults too. Why?
Yes.
Because the adults are the ones who are supposed to be trained a little bit more than children. And also, it is not a matter of desire, it is a matter of maintenance. So, spending 30 something million euros in a park without access and without having approved the yearly budget of 2023, that doesn't sound logical. It
No.
doesn't sound nice for me. So the first thing will be to approve the yearly budget of 2023. Second is to make the bridge. Third is to design a park and include the maintenance cost in the yearly budget and see whether we have to increase the rates of each property to pay the maintenance of that park, because everything
Right.
has a cost. It is like when you buy clothes. If you buy a jacket, you should also see the label, and the label has some figure. You cannot say how nice the jacket is without paying attention to the label.
Sure.
There is no label in this jacket. Everybody is hiding that label. Why? I would like to see the label. I don't want to buy clothes in a shop where the price is not exposed.
Sure. Of
No,
course.
because at the end I could be very disappointed when I
Yeah.
go to the cashier. So better to know the cost of everything before buying.
Yeah.
And we have been inserted into this, embedded into this idea without knowing how much is going to cost.
Sure. And Vicky Anderson, whom I think you know, uh, says that she wishes that they would use money to stabilize the beaches instead of spending it on a park.
Well, that's something important. Let me explain that a little bit. Eh, Everybody likes this area because of the weather. Sun and beach is how the tourism in this area was described. When Fuengirola did their marina, their harbor, and also Cabo Pino, there were two barriers at each side of Mijas beaches. And we have run out of sand because Fuengirola and Cabo Pino have protected their area, but we have not. So
Right.
all the sand of Mijas coast has disappeared. And there
Yeah.
is a good sample in this building called Almirante. The original owners still have pictures where you could see at least 100 meters of sand in front of the building. And now the water is banging into the concrete of the basement of the building.
Yeah.
I don't want to frighten anyone, but it is a matter of time. And in 2015, we approved to invest 80,000 euros to make a project. That project, to be done by a technician that know about the movement of the seawater, would say how our sand could be protected.
Yeah.
The government decided not to spend those 80,000 euros. However, that same government is spending the double or the triple every year repairing the Senda Litoral and also repairing the sewage pipe that runs along the beach,
Sure. Yeah.
or the government bringing sand. Why? Why? It is not so difficult. We are talking
Yeah.
about 80,000 euros. And with that solution, whatever it is, we will knock to every single door in Spain to get whoever has to do it done. And
Sure.
if it costs 2 million euros, imagine, would you prefer a park of 35 million euros? Or couldn't we make a park of only 33 millions and invest 2 million euros in protecting our beaches?
Yeah. We've got a
Because
message.
governing is deciding. Deciding means electing. You have to say
Yeah.
yes to something, and at the same time you say no to other things. And you
Yeah.
should have a list of priorities. And there seems to be no list of priorities in the government, just a lot of ideas that depending the day, one will jump above the other.
Sure. But we've got a comment here from Daniela saying, in her opinion, we have more important priorities that need to be solved. And there's already a lack of maintenance in Mijas. And how do they want to handle all of that with an extra huge park? Face
Yes,
orange, raised eyebrow.
you may remember that some years ago when the Popular Party was in the government, there was a TV program every week in which the two or three parties in the government would be there sharing their ideas
Yeah.
in a peaceful and nice atmosphere. They may not agree, but at least people could hear the point of view, different point of views of the government and the opposition. Those programs finished when the Popular Party lost the power, and now you can only see the government in the local TV, which is fine, but they have never someone else telling them other point of view. The
No, but
truth always has two sides.
I just assumed, Mario, that Mijas Communication existed only to promote the government.
That shouldn't be so, and
No, it shouldn't be.
for the sake of the almost 7,000 euros daily, I believe we could get a better profit from that.
Yes,
I think our mass media should be working on people fulfilling their duties as citizens and trying to organize a little bit better the life in Mijas, not only to publish whatever the government is promising.
sure.
Because let me tell you something. Yesterday in the monthly meeting, there was a document that perhaps not many people read, but it says it is the, let's say, the accounts of 2022. So out of the 81 million euros that they were going to invest, I'm not talking about the running cost, investment 81 million euros, they have invested 8. That is a merely 10%. If
Yeah,
you are a student and you only study 10% of your books, you will fail. That
sure.
is what our government has done in 2022. Only 10% of the promises have been fulfilled. Only 10% of the money has been spent. This gives them an opportunity for the other 90% again to keep promising things and appearing on the newspapers.
Yeah. Um, Leslie agrees with Vicky's comment. And okay, very quickly, Mario. Last Sunday, between us, we walked the 14 kilometers of the Mijas coastline.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of you did the first part, and some of us did the second part down to La Luna, which is almost on the Marbella boundary. And you were looking at the whole thing about the proposed Mijas to La Cala to Fuengirola boardwalk or senda.
Yes.
Uh, and we did speak about that, but when you arrived in La Cala. But would you like to summarize what your feelings are about that now?
Eh, yes, and it is not nice. People who know the Senda Litoral, this wooden boardwalk from La Cala to Marbella, know that they are walking by the sea. It is a very nice atmosphere, very natural, and you really enjoy that walk. However, if you go from La Cala to Fuengirola, there are no beaches, only small parts. So the walk has to be done very close to the road, where the pollution, the noise, and the risk of being moved by the wind from a truck doesn't make it nice. So if we are going to spend, I think the last price was 4 million euros, simply to enlarge that area, believe me, it is not nice. And I would recommend people to make that walk now by the road because you are,
Yes.
let's say, you are walking on the road. In fact, it is not nice. It is not a place that you would say, I would like to walk through there.
No.
So the final design is not yet agreed, but if they don't make something as nice as it is now, it will be better not to do anything because
Yeah.
spending a lot of money just making a walk by the road, believe me, that is far from attractive.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mario. And you know, I'm like you. I'm up and down that road quite often, and I was looking at it in particular today, and thought, you know, would I find this a relaxing walk
No,
from
no.
La Cala heading towards Fuengirola, with container lorries and delivery trucks and endless numbers of cars zooming back and forward. Um, I think it would be 4 million euros very badly spent.
And also don't forget that they have decided to do it jumping over Chaparral.
Yeah.
So this path will be stopped at the Sheriff and will continue after the restaurant El Faro.
Yeah.
Between El Sheriff and El Faro, between those two restaurants, there will be nothing.
Yeah.
And that is the only area where the sender could go through the beach.
Yeah.
So that is really the only area where this walk could be nice. They have
Yeah.
decided not to do it there. No,
Yeah.
not nice.
Daniela says that you might get hit by a lorry falling on the bend.
Yes, well, that's something else. The road is not nice.
No.
Believe me, walking by cars which are at least 80 kilometers per hour if they follow the limit, if not more, it is not attractive. You will not enjoy that. You will do it only if you have to walk from A to B. You
Yeah.
will never decide to walk there just for fun or for relaxing. No
No.
way.
Mario, thank you so much for joining me this evening and for giving us your thoughts on a whole range of topics today.
There is something important, Bill, which I cannot forget.
What's that?
And let me like this. I think you can see it. Happy birthday to someone. If you see this is a question mark, so we will not
Yes.
reveal the year, but someone's birthday today. So Bill, happy birthday from me and from everybody who sees you on this program. And keep doing this during many years, at least one more year until your next birthday.
Thank you, Mario. It's very
I
kind.
will,
Can I blow it? Can I blow it out?
yes, please. You did it very well.
Mario, thank you so
Congratulations,
much.
Bill.
And
You're welcome.
we shall speak soon. Thank you for
Perfect.
joining us this evening, folks. And we'll be back again next week, Thursday at 7 o'clock.